Okay, so now welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about these these topics, these concepts. So initially, I'll just explain more about variables, which would be like a wrap up of the basics of the high level concept of these variables, and then I'll talk about the variables in depth now. Here I'll explain the low level concept of variables, what happened behind the scenes, and then so under the variables in depth, I'll talk about these important concepts, which includes the memory address, the pointers, and the constants. Yeah, and then at the end now, I'll now explain the concept of taking input from the user. Okay, so now let's begin more about variables. Yeah, so let's get to the text editor. Okay, um, so these variables are one of the most important concept which every person should know. Any C programmer should be aware of is that when you are naming variables, uh, the names of the variables should not be the same. I'm pretty sure I explained about that, which means that, for instance, you cannot have variables. Let's say that the first variable is a, and the second variable, maybe this one is going to be a character. Let's name it b, or let's name it a also. Yeah, and so what we've done right now is we've just declared the variables. We haven't assigned any values to these variables. Okay, so when we try to run this program, we must get an error. You see, so when you are creating different variables, let's say maybe variables which you are intending to be storing different types of data, the names should also be different. And also there is another concept here, which is that these variables are case sensitive. What does that mean? It means that this variable a, which is storing an integer, is not the same as this variable which is storing a character, provided that the name of the variable was in capital letter or capital letters. Let's run this program. We see, the program has run. Yeah, so this means that in C programming, variables are case sensitive. They are sensitive to cases in this case. So if you want maybe some variables maybe to have same names, you should maybe try to make them different by capitalizing capitalizing some of them. Some of the letters in those variable names. Okay, so another concept in variables is that um, just because a variable can be any name you think of, any name, you are not limited. But the way you are typing these names, um, you are limited somehow. What am I trying to say? Let's say maybe you want to create a variable um okay, let's say maybe any variable. Okay, let me just say in general, any variable name should not contain any symbol other than the underscore. You can start a variable with an underscore. Do not leave any space when you're working with variables. You can start with an underscore and end with an underscore. Let's start with an underscore. Let's say maybe G. Just using these short names for the purposes of the examples. Yeah, maybe this one, let's say B. So this is not going to give you an error. See, the program is right. So the only symbol which must be used in variables is the underscore. Do not use any other symbol. Do not use any. Let's try to use just a random symbol. Maybe let's use the dollar, and here let's use the hash. Let's run. You see, it has given us an error. So you can put anything, and also you might be in a situation where maybe you are creating maybe a variable which is storing a nuclear one. Maybe you want to create like two variables. The first variable, maybe you want it to be storing the age, the first age. Maybe you might want to name it as age 1. Age 1. So this is going this is not going to give you an error, but when you start with 1, it is going to give you an error. So what am I trying to say? So when you are working with variables, you should not start with a number or a symbol. The only symbol you can start with is the underscore, but you can end with the number. So let's run this. This is not going to give us an error. So now when we start with a number, let's say we start with 1, and let's run the program. Oops, see, we've got an error. Yeah, so these are most important concepts, so that at least you don't have to be making a lot of errors. You should understand them. And also another concept which I would like to explain, which has to do with naming variables. You might be in a situation where maybe you want to name a variable. Maybe the name of the variable, you want it to have maybe more than 2 words. Maybe let's say like the school name. Maybe the name of the variable, you want to name it school name, and you want to make it readable, because when you just write like this, school name, it might not be that much readable, and also you cannot separate, you cannot leave spaces. It might give you an error like this. So now there is this concept in all programming languages of cases. There are 3 different types of cases. There is what is called the camel case, the snake case, and the Pascal case. So these cases are used if you want to create a variable that is having more than 2 words, so that the variable can be at least readable. So camel case. So the camel case, when you are using the camel case, you should the first word of the variable should start with a small letter, school, and then now the other words, now the preceding words should all be starting with a capital letter. So if name begin with capital letter, school name. See, so that even a person maybe who you might share your code with can easily read this school name by just seeing that. Oh, okay, yeah. So in fact, a programmer who was just who's good at his or her stuff should be aware of these cases. Yeah, yeah, he must be able to understand that. Okay, so this is camel case since the first word is starting with a small letter, and the preceding words are all being capitalized. Yeah, so he or she must be able to differentiate that. Okay, so this word has ended here. This is a new word. So this is a camel case. It is called the camel because it looks like a camel. I don't know what the creator of this case was thinking, but that's what they say. I don't know. Since it's the first word is a small letter, I don't know the shape which is formed, if it looks like a camel. And then there is also what is called the Pascal case. So the Pascal case is quite similar. In fact, it is very similar to this camel case, but the only difference is that for it, each new word, each different word should start with a capital letter. So instead of starting with a small letter, it just starts with S, school name. So a programmer who knows these things, um, a programmer who has studied a lot, yeah, in fact, who's just good at programming should be aware when you just see that, oh, every word starting with a capital letter, so it is representing a new word. Okay, you might, you might be in a situation maybe where you are creating a variable name having maybe 7 words. You are not limited. You can even reach up to 100 words depending on the name of the variable. Okay, so now in the last case is what is called the snake case. So when you're using the snake case, each word is separated by an underscore. For example, school name. And also it should start with a small letter. You're not only limited. If you want, each word can be starting with with a capital letter but separated by the underscore. It will still be a snake case. Yeah, so like this. And this one is my favorite. In fact, this one is even more readable. Yeah, okay, it's just that maybe we have different preferences, but me, I prefer this one. Usually I like separating with these underscores because they just look like spaces. Yeah, so school name. See, so they call this as snake case. Yeah, because when you leave this underscore, it is making like a wave, something like a wave. Let me show you something like this. Yeah, let me clear it. Yeah, so something like here the word and then the underscore, another word, the underscore. Yeah, so um, that's why the creator of this case, I mean, I don't know if it is the founder, decided to call it the snake case because the shape of the variable looks like a snake when it is moving in a wavy manner. Yeah. Okay, so now uh, this is not all. So you might be in another situation. This is another concept I'm talking about, which I've just started talking about right now. So you might be in another situation where maybe you want to create like many variables of different, I mean, of the same data type. Maybe you want to create like four variables of integer data type. Now, it might okay, they are the complicated, the most complicated way. I don't know if it is the easiest, but it is complicated. Is to write each variable on a different line, and that is going to cost about four different line of code, right? Now that might be very verbose and robust, but there is the easiest way. So the easiest way is to declare these variables in the same line. But how is that done? So this is done by starting with the data type. Let's say maybe we want to create four variables. Okay, we want to declare four variables which are integers. So we can start with int, and then the first variable name, let's say maybe it is going to be x, and then you should separate by a comma. So now, and then you write the